Well, good morning. This is Russell Howard with Good News to Live By, and I'm glad that you're able to join us this wonderful Monday. It is a hot day, and we are definitely in a hot period of time in July. But I sure do appreciate that you are here today to join us on Good News to Live By, and we hope that we are able to bless your life today as you gather here. A few announcements we want to be making and want to be asking you to be praying for. Want to be praying for, first of all, for Terry Foley and Jay Dennison's mothers. Terry Foley's mother, Martha, and Jay's mother, Helen Dennison, are sisters. And yesterday they were driving and they were hit by another car, and so they are both in the hospital. Helen Dennison, this is Jay's mother, is at Riverside, and she's having a surgery this morning at this very moment on her leg. And also Martha Seckel is in a hospital in Lima, and this is Terry Foley's mother, and be praying for her as well. Hopefully they will both recover, and also the other gentleman that was driving as well. It's just kind of something happens, and so we want to be praying for all of their recovery. Also, want to be praying for Al Tharp, who fell the other day and broke his leg in two places. And also, please, if you would remember Fred Rule in your prayers. And of course, we have many others that are definitely on our prayer list, and they are very important to us as well. But we sure do appreciate you joining us today. We do want to remind you of our August the 2nd. We'll be having an outside worship service, Lord willing, weather permitting. We do encourage you, though, this Sunday for sure, to go ahead and sign up for our worship service at 8:15, 9:45, and 11:15 as well. It just helps us out, and we appreciate you wanting to do that. We're in a series in Philippians, and we're talking about being considerate of other people and giving to other people and showing the interest of other people. On Friday, I introduced to you the fact that we're going to talk about two fellows this week, today and tomorrow, a man by the name of Timothy and Epaphroditus, two guys who are very giving and sharing of their life, and they showed interest in others, and they were offered their very best. And I know you want to offer your very best. Every day is a challenge, but we want to offer our very best. Well, today I want to look at Timothy, and I want you to notice the genuine interest that he had in other people. He was very much like Paul himself. In fact, if you know Timothy, we're going to be looking today in Philippians verses chapter 2, excuse me, verse 19 to 24. Now, you need to understand that as you show genuine concern for other people, Paul probably met Timothy on his first missionary journey, and Paul considered him his own dear son in the faith. And when Paul was on his second missionary journey, he said to Timothy, "Hey, I want you to come and go with me." That's found in Acts chapter 16, verse 1 to verse 4. Now, Timothy is mentioned 24 times in Paul's letters, and is identified with Paul as writing 5 of the letters. Here he is presented in Timothy as someone who is genuinely interested in other people. Let's look together, starting there in verse 19. He says, "I hope in the Lord to send Timothy to you soon, that I also may be cheered when I receive news about you." Then he goes on to verse 20 and verse 21, these words. He said, "I have no other interest, no one else like him, who takes a genuine interest in your welfare, for everyone looks out for his own interests, not those of Jesus Christ." Now, Paul had discipled Timothy and watched him grow, and has saw Timothy becoming kind of like him. Paul looks at him and says, "I don't know anybody like him. Nobody else like Timothy." Why? For everyone looks on their own interest and not those of Jesus Christ. Now, Timothy was a follower of Paul who taught a true discipleship of Jesus Christ. Remember what Timothy could have just as well said what Paul said in Philippians 2, verse 3 to verse 4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit or humility. Consider others better than yourself. Each of you should look not only on your own interest, but also the interest of others as well. The only way a person can be this way is follow the teachings of Jesus. When he said to his disciples, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. It's instinctive to look out for their own interests. A small boy and his sister were riding on the back of a new wooden horse which was given them, and suddenly the boy turned to his sister and said, if one of us would get off, there would be more room for me. It's just our nature to want to be only concerned about us. Self often rules in our lives. This is why it's very dangerous to go shopping early on a Black Friday after Thanksgiving, even on Thanksgiving night, because everybody is out for themselves and you'll get trampled on. Even though self rules the world, it must not rule us. But real love goes beyond emotions. It's putting the others ahead of us, regardless of how you feel. Love is not self-seeking, the Bible says. It's a new mother who gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning and feeds a child and doesn't feel like it, but she puts the interest of the child ahead of her own self. That's compassion. Now, things happen when you genuinely are concerned about others. First of all, you begin to forget about your own problems and forget about your own self. We seldom realize that. We think that when I'm having trouble, I need to do something just for me. I need to be thinking about me. And we indulge in that. But the Bible teaches us, psychology backs it up, that the quickest way to get rid of our troubles is begin to get involved in helping somebody else with their troubles. The prophet Isaiah knew that a long time ago in Isaiah 58, verse 10 to verse 12. If you spend yourself on behalf of the hungry, satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs and strengthen your frame. Secondly, when you're generally concerned about other people, you find that when you're in trouble, others will be there for you because you have been there for them. Now, we have to prove our concern for others by our actions. He says in verse 22, for you know that Timothy has proved himself because of a son with his father. He has served with me in the work of the gospel. The word term, prove after testing. Timothy is a seasoned veteran. He has survived the thriving hardship. He had been with Paul, his co-worker. He has served with him in ministry. He was with Paul. He was a troubleshooter in Corinth and Thessalonica and Ephesus, and now Philippi. Paul looked at Timothy and saw an individual who was a real thing. He was genuine. He was authentic. Sometimes when you purchase items that with a $20 bill, they'll take that and they'll cashier will mark it to see if it's authentic. There's a method for determining the genuineness of a Christian if he's real or not. It is, do your works back up your faith? You say I believe, but do you have backed up by faith? James says, faith by itself is not accompanied by action is dead. Show me your faith with your deeds, and I will show you my faith by what I do. If you start your car once every three, if your car starts once every 3 times, is it reliable? If your postmaster skips your house and only delivers on Monday and Thursday, is he trustworthy? If you don't go to work once or twice a month, are you a reliable employee? If your refrigerator stops working for a day and then works and then stops, is it a good refrigerator? If your water heater provides icy cold showers every now and then, is it dependable? If you skip a couple of electric bills, do you think Ohio Edison or your electric company will mind? Do you ever ask yourself on a Sunday morning, why am I going to church? Am I going because I owe a debt to God? or because I'm carrying a heavy burden that I hope will be lifted, or because I like the fellowship or I even like the preaching. Why am I going? Well, if we're really genuine interested in others, the church becomes a training ground that I'm going to be caring for each other. In fact, the Bible tells us in Hebrews that we should come and provoke each other into love and good works, that we should care about each other. We're concerned about each other. So when you come into the building, be on the lookout. Be considerate of other people. I mean, give, especially during this time of COVID, give people space. Don't be in their face. Be considerate of other people. Maybe you're sitting by a guest and they come in, and make sure that they feel welcome. Well, reach out to them. Or you look at the prayer list and you learn that somebody is having a difficult time. Get a card and send it to them. Send a note. Let them know that you'll be praying for them. Or if someone you know is struggling with a heavy burden, a grief, a loss, weeping, call them up. Do something. But be people who care about people. The real thing about Christians that's different than other people is that we care. We're concerned about others. Isn't it refreshing to know that we care about each other without a hidden agenda? To care each other says, you're my brother, you're my sister in the Lord, and your hurts are my hurts. Timothy offered his very best support and showed genuine concern for other people. Today, will you do that? Will you be like Jesus and reflect that concern for other people? Thank you for joining us. Tomorrow we'll talk about Epaphroditus. We'll talk about a guy who offered himself as a selfless servant. Thank you and have a great day.